Hey everybody, welcome back. Sorry it's been a long time, but work's gotten a little crazy. Like, holy fuck. But, today and tomorrow are two pretty easy shifts, and I don't go until later, so let's see if we can knock this out.
Instead, cooing at Pilot and nuzzling her wing softly.
Hear that, Pilot, darling? Zenith's little brew has made me part phoenix. Isn't that wonderful?
What?
It is just a name. Zenith sighed. Velvet Remedy continued to play with Firelight, who fluttered about my beautiful friend with unconcealed joy at her survival. The Balefire Phoenix kept perching on Velvet's cast, which I couldn't imagine was really helping anything. I itched. And I really didn't like that.
Nah, it's
I swore
cool,
to
it's
myself
fine.
that the very first thing I would do upon returning to Tenpony Tower was finding Homage and promising whatever I had to in order to get that taint purging spell cast on me. I feared it might already be too late. Well, second thing. First thing would be to set my friends up in a luxury suite where Velvet could get some damn rest. If you don't go right to bed when we're in Tenpony, I swear I'm gonna tie you to your bed. Velvet Remedy's eyes widened, then narrowed as she gave me a sultry look.
Oh, my.
Oh, little Pip, you tease. But really, that's your kink, not mine.
I sputtered. It was most definitely not my kink. Thankfully, Velvet Remedy turned her spotlight on Zenith.
Yesterday when that siren went off, were you hearing it in just your ears?
Velvet Remedy asked. The zebra gave her an odd look. I didn't blame her, finding the question equally strange until I heard Zenith's answer.
How else would I be hearing that dreadful noise?
She seemed to consider.
I have felt sounds before, low vibrating rumbles, but this was no such sound.
You feel it in your soul!
Velvet Remedy nodded and looked to the rest of us. It took me a moment, but when the realization hit me, it seemed so obvious that... I was looking down the scope of Little Macintosh as the zombie pony came into view.
That what, motherfucker? You just gonna skip the... Oh, fuck you.
A slight squeeze of the trigger, and Little Macintosh roared. The creature's head exploded. I turned, checking for any more of the flesh-eating zombies, but my EFS compass was clean of red. I floated my weapon away, feeling a pang. It was tragic and terrible that these zombies were once living ponies who had become trapped, imprisoned in decaying bodies and minds, slowly tortured by the rotting insanity that turned them into mindless monsters bent on devouring other ponies. Yet, part of me remembered all too horrifically that there were even worse fates. I turned back to eating my soup. The others were settling back down to dinner as well. Twilight was fading. The ruins of the old power substation loomed above us. We had chosen it because the crumbling walls would shield the light of our cook fire. Calamity had wanted to push the rest of the way to Manhattan, but he yielded to our persuasions finally. Zenith stirred the pot again, offering Velvet another helping. Pilot had flown off hunting the moment the Sky Bandit touched down, and Velvet had been anxious about her since the first zombie pony appeared. I heard hoofsteps, and a clattering sound approaching, followed by heavy, ragged breathing that didn't sound like any pony.
Oh, damn.
Waving to the others, I floated out the zebra
Don't let it be a fucking rape monster, like, ah.
rifle again, and brought up my EFS, again scanning the area for hostile life. No red, but there were several approaching non-hostile entities. I breathed a sigh of relief. Several minutes later, the traveling merchant moved into our camplight. Upon seeing us, she froze, eyes darting to each of my, very heavily armed, I suddenly realized, party. The two-headed cattle carrying her wares mooed plaintively behind her. Calamity flew over, causing the merchant to take a step back. But he was all smiles and a hearty hoofshake. Howdy there, beneath...
Wouldn't he still be wearing Enclave armor? It's gotta be pretty fucking terrifying. And damn it, Little Pip, you still haven't gotten your power armor! You're a shitty protagonist! How could you not get your power armor by now?
Need you since I've seen any sort of caravan. I'd be much obliged if y'all would join us for soup. I promise it's mighty tasty. He leaned forward and whispered loudly, I didn't cook it. The merchant smiled, the tension in her body slowly melting away. Thank you kindly. She hitched her cattle to the trash bin and trotted over to join us. I gasped as a large beast pushed past the cattle and lumbered in after her, growling softly.
What is that?
Velvet Remedy stammered, wide-eyed. The merchant laughed.
Oh, don't you mind, Cuddles. He really is a friendly bear, unless y'all are raiders.
The pony smiled. Lady can't be wandering
It's
around the wasteland
Henry's
without a friend,
descendant.
you know. There's some bad folk out there.
Yaguai,
Our zebra whispered strangely to Velvet.
I've never met such a beast before,
Velvet Remedy said, still wide-eyed.
Well, truth be told, I ain't never met a Pegasus nor a zebra before.
The merchant replied good-naturedly, as Zenith offered her a bowl of soup.
Why, thank you, miss.
So what brings you out this way? Calamity asked curiously.
Doing the new run between Shattered Hoof and Manhattan,
the merchant pony said with a smile.
Figure I ought to get out there to the new action before every pony else does.
Suddenly, Calamity took to the air, darting back to where the Sky Bandit was parked. We all watched as he returned to his saddlebags and started pulling out seemingly random junk. Everything from old boxes of instant mashed potatoes to small-caliber firearms that were, quite frankly, beneath us.
Ow.
Wait, when exactly did any lethal ranged weapon become beneath us?
Where did you find those?
Velvet Remedy asked.
When did you find them? I thought we had sold everything non-essential at Ten Pony Tower.
Scavenging in Old Olney, Calamity replied, as he started to pick the best things to barter with while Velvet Remedy just shook her head. She got up and hobbled over, nudging him aside and rearranging his selection.
Actually, Little Pip, that's a great question. Like, when did X gun become beneath you? Because, okay, unless, like, you know, older... Like, I remember Fallout 3, New Vegas, and Fallout 4. Like, no fucking gun is beneath the player. Like, they all can kill people. All of them. Like, no, get that mentality out of your head, little missy. You better become a fucking walking armory with everything. Because you never know when you're going to run out of ammunition.
I will tell you a secret, said Zenith as she leaned close to the Pegasus. It is both possible and permissible to pass by a filing cabinet or garbage barrel without looking inside.
Fucking lies! Why are you lying? You can miss, like, grenades and shit. Or health packs. Now, fuck you, Zenith. You don't know what you're talking about.
I face-huffed as Calamity turned to her with wide, mock-amazed eyes.
Really?
How? I ain't learned that trick.
Obviously.
I found myself smiling at that. And then a thought struck me.
Hey, Calamity, can we take a swing by Shattered Hoof on our way? I want to talk to God.
I frowned as Velvet Remedy once more submersed herself in the original Fluttershy orb. I knew now that Steelhooves hadn't been quite right about the Yellow Pegasus, but he'd still been close enough for me to worry for my friend. Especially with the strain, both physically and mentally, that this week had put on Velvet Remedy. She'd come chillingly close to dying. Twice. And, even if there were no visible scars or lasting physical damage from the loss of her leg, the psychological impact would not heal with magical ease. Her alteration under Zenith's brew showed no outward signs, but I couldn't imagine it not weighing heavily on her as well. All of this, on top of the horrors of the Stable 2 massacre. I looked away, tracing my right forehoof over the metal floor of the Sky Bandit. We were nearing Shattered Hoof. I could see the lights of it in the darkness. I pushed my thoughts in other directions, purposefully distracting myself. I thought of the orbs I had seen yesterday. For the life of me, I couldn't imagine how or why the Leaf Fall Lane spa memory had ended up locked in that cabinet. Most of the time, the locations of memory orbs I found struck me as completely logical. This one, on the other hoof, did not. The other orb did.
Maybe there was more to it.
It took me a while to puzzle it out. The Steel Rangers had likely been trying to make their way to the hospital roof, led by the robed unicorn mare and their party. With the information on that orb, they could have gotten a fix on the location of the central hub of the Single Pegasus project, whatever that happened to be. as for Rarity's reason to make a recording of the memory, I chose to believe that the moment Rainbow Dash asked her to design the Enclave armor was a happy moment for her. She was, at heart, a dressmaker. And finally her job and her beloved hobby had united, after a fashion. No.
Okay, no, okay, I'll let that...
No pun intended.
Yeah.
I could imagine the graceful elderly unicorn wanting to relive that moment again and again, especially as things began to fall apart for her friends. Not unlike Velvet Remedy. "Okay, little Pip," Calamity called out. "We're heading in." The Pegasus was in a good mood. He was flying again. Velvet was going to be okay. And he'd even gotten to chat with a caravan merchant and barter, or, more precisely, watch a Velvet Remedy barter. I'd been surprised how many little items he had managed to scavenge from Old Olney, while the rest of us were focused on just moving on. I wasn't the only one with a vice. "Incoming griffins."
Hey,
Calamity
you
called
can make
out.
money off that scavenging.
I brought up my EFS and verified that they were friendly. A moment later, Blackwing and her talons flew into view, circling and pulling up alongside us. "Little Pip and friends," she said. I felt my cheeks redden. Why was it never Calamity and his friends or Velvet Remedy and friends?
Because Little Pip and her friends is totally the TV... Actually, Calamity and Friends would be a good TV show name too, but I don't know. But she does it to make you embarrassed. I mean, you're making it pretty plain and obvious.
I wondered, for what seemed like the millionth time, why that was the case. Of course, by now, I knew the answer. I had homage and my companions to thank for it. Yay. "Hey, Blackwing," I said, brushing off my embarrassment to talk to the Griffin. "I was hoping to see you. I have something I need to ask you for, and I hoped we could come to an arrangement." "Oh," the Griffin Merc raised an eyebrow. "This should be good." I woke up, finding myself staring at the familiar ceiling of Dr. Helpinghoof's clinic. Only this time, at least, I wasn't bound.
Is this Cock Tease the chapter? You're giving us shit and then you're skipping? Okay, you're probably going to... You would have to reveal this later on, but god damn it. Oh, you're evil. Why you being evil, K-Cat?
I knew better than to get up too fast. Instead, I cleared my throat loudly. The voices beyond the partition stopped, and a shadow approached. Dr. Helpinghoof pushed aside the partition and eyed me curiously. "When I said I could make a tidy profit off of you, I didn't mean this as encouragement." Velvet Remedy pushed past him, wobbling as she tried to walk with just 3 legs. Her eyes were narrowed and her voice was cross. I was completely expecting this.
"I cannot believe you," she nearly shouted. "After everything we've been through, you used them again?"
"I had to," I said evenly. "It was the only way. The only way to make sure Red Eye listened. But it was just a one-time thing, and I sought treatment immediately." I leveled a gaze at her. On my own, I would point out.
"One time? Of course. Until the next time you decide you need them."
Velvet seethed.
"Little Pip, haven't you learned anything? You can't do just one time."
I winced. She was right. I was playing with fire even though I knew I was soaked in whiskey. "Please, I know this is bad, but it was really important. I know this will make it harder for me, so I'm going to need you."
"Let me see,"
she demanded. Dr. Helpinghoof had politely backed away.
See what?
"See?"
Huh?
"Your goddess's damned inventory sorter, Little Pip,"
Velvet Remedy barked.
"I want to see for myself that you didn't keep any."
A shot of fear ran through me. I lifted my pip-bug forward to see, praying that I had actually tossed the damned tin of party-time Mintaus into a burning trash barrel the moment I trotted out of the encampment. I prayed that my addiction and the little pony in my head hadn't somehow played tricks with my memory. I was going to be doing too much
You're
of that on
fucked!
my own.
"Okay, fine."
Velvet said as she looked through the inventory and thankfully found no sign of PTMs.
Oh, good.
"And you better believe I'll be going through your things back in the room. and quite regularly from now on.
I nodded.
Thank you, Velvet. You've proven that you can't be trusted,
she snapped.
Oh,
Her
fuck
words
you!
wounding me. Even more so because I deserved it. Dr. Helpinghoof's assistant trotted forward, smiling indulgently. Velvet Remedy looked to the white unicorn buck with the candy red and scarlet striped mane.
Will it hurt?
Velvet asked, sounding worried. Shooting me a dark look, she added,
Not that she doesn't deserve it a little.
Turning back.
God damn, I fucking hate Velvet. Like, oh god, I want to punch her. Worst party member. You know, send her away. Go, I don't know, go find another. There's like probably 20 of them wandering in the wasteland.
The white unicorn, Velvet admitted.
She's been through so much. I don't want her to have to suffer any more.
Don't worry, the unicorn said. She won't remember any pain.
Remember any pain? So it is going to hurt.
Turning to me, she asked,
Are you ready to do this?
I nodded. Let's get this over with. I slowly pulled myself out of bed and followed him. As we walked away, I heard Velvet Remedy moan.
You're going to destroy yourself trying to save the entire wasteland, little Pip.
A piercing white light above me died, and I found myself in darkness, staring up at an unfamiliar ceiling inlaid with strange patterned mirrors. I was laying back in a chair, a bizarre and uncomfortable position, and I had absolutely no idea how I had gotten here. The last thing I remembered was being in Helpinghoof's clinic. I seemed to recall that I had been treated for PTM use, and voluntarily at that. I cringed, my mind filling with shame as I remembered taking that tin from the nurse's station. I was humiliated and disgusted with myself for the weakness I gave into them every time I could have thrown it away. But for the life of me, I couldn't remember actually taking one. Or for that matter, I didn't remember volunteering for treatment, although I could remember acting as if I had once this was over. A deep alien terror started to envelop me as I tried to retrace my actions, only to find my memories of even the flight back to be piecemeal at best. Ever since
Wait. Wait a minute. Okay, so we're getting told this story by Little Pip in the future. This is all her, like, memoirs and stuff. You know, it's like Worm, how it's the character telling the story and how it started. And she just admitted, you know, and, like, we were skipping parts, and that kind of pissed me off, because, like, well, you're going to bring it up later, but I want to know now. But now Lil Pip got that treatment, and she's like, well, I don't really remember. It's all Oh, shit, K-Cat. You fucking genius. Oh, damn it. I had a lot of righteous anger, too. How dare you steal that from me?
Oni, my sense of time had become Swiss cheese. But the scattered moments I did remember didn't leave me with the impression that I'd been losing time. A familiar white unicorn buck appeared, leaning over me, his scarlet and candy-red mane draping so that it almost touched my face. His mane reminded me of Pinkie Pie's at the party, after it had seemed to deflate. Don't panic.
Where am I? How did I get here? Who are you?
The questions tumbled out as fast as I could form them. The unicorn raised a silencing hoof, but I didn't want to be silenced.
What happened to me?
I felt another hoof touch my shoulder as Homage stepped around the chair.
Relax, love.
My eyes darted between them, my emotions in turmoil.
Little Pip,
Homage asked.
Do you trust me?
What the fuck
The
did you
answer shot
do?
through all my dismay and confusion.
Yeah.
No! When you lose memories and someone's like, do you trust me? What the fuck did you do? That is the first question.
Yes.
Homage whispered.
Then still your thoughts, love. Relax.
She helped guide me off the chair into her embrace. I pressed myself against her, breathing hard, trying to find a way to peace in the storm of panic that threatened to overwhelm me. Her scent slowly became a life preserver tossed into my ocean of distress, and a rope with which I pulled myself to safety. Slowly, I relaxed.
Little Pip,
"This is Life Bloom," Homage said finally, introducing me formally to the white unicorn with the red and scarlet mane and tail. "I'm pleased to meet you again," Life Bloom said. "Velvet Remedy and Homage have told me so much about you." I nodded slowly, piecing a little together.
you're one of Dr. Helpinghoof's assistants, right? The one that Velvet Remedy's been buying spells from.
"Indeed I am." Homage stroked my mane gently as if she could brush out the little shakes I was feeling.
You remember what I told you about the ponies who really run Ten Pony Tower? Life Bloom is one of them.
Oh!
The unicorn buck bowed with a smile.
I also realize I'm just becoming Rita Repulsa by going, "Oh! Oh no. I don't want to be sealed on the moon for 10,000 years. No."
"And you are the stable dweller whom DJ Pony and Homage have woven into the bringer of light." I flushed with embarrassment, looking away. "And just a little humble," the buck said with a smile. "That's a good sign." Turning back to him, I asked again, this time more slowly.
Where am I? And what happened to me?
The unicorn's horn glowed a brilliant crimson. A small box floated into view. I recognized that kind of box. It was the kind which held memory orbs. "These, little Pip, are yours."
What?
Mine?
I took a breath to gasp at what he was saying.
They're my memories?
"Of the last couple days," Homage said in agreement. I reeled. I'd lost days?
What? Why'd you remove them?
Because you asked me to," Life Bloom said. "And because Homage here persuaded me it was for a good cause."
Life Bloom is a bit of a magical protege. Takes to new spells like no pony I've ever seen. He's the only unicorn in Ten Pony Tower to have mastered the old memory spells once used by the Ministry of Morale,
Homage informed me.
He's also the one who can cast the Taint Purge.
Looking at me knowingly, Homage followed that little revelation up with,
So, how are you feeling?
I stopped. I assessed myself. I felt tired, strained. The burns on my flank and side had been healed, but were still tender. The deep, unsettling itch was gone. "There may be minor mutations," Life Bloom announced, "but nothing life-threatening or even, I suspect, life-changing. I'm pretty certain that we purged you in time." I felt my knees give out as a sudden rush of gratefulness weakened me.
Oh, thank you!
The box of memory orbs came with a note in my own tooth writing. "Little Pip, the memory orbs inside this box are in order. The first is pretty much a table of contents, and the others are most of my/your memories from the past few days. The three important ones that I think I'll want to relive are orbs 4, 6, and 8. Everything else is just long, dull flights and routine stuff. I don't think I, or you, really need to spend hours trapped in a memory orb just so we can relive our bowel movements or hours of feeling itchy. Don't watch any of these until after you/I get the black book and take it to Maripony. Please. I know that's going to be really hard for me/you, but it's important."
No, you could just use us, our, and we. Those are words. They exist, little Pip. Oh, jeez, I hope you didn't forget that from all your hits to the head.
Yours truly, Little Pip. I read it again, and once more for good measure. But it still made no...
I don't believe you! Why the hell would you take those into memory orbs if, oh god, this just came to me. You say that, all the other orbs aren't important. I don't fucking believe you. Because why would you take those and put those into memory orbs? Can't you, just skip those? Isn't that how... Okay, I might be wrong, but, couldn't they just skip those parts? Because Little Pip didn't forget everything about the ride here. Now, there were parts where, see, okay, I forgot this, but I remember what happened afterwards until I forget this. Fuck you, you're lying. You are lying. That's my theory. They are fucking lying. And I'm going to end the video here because I gotta go to work.